people dying. And no help came really. No ambulances for a good while. It was just a tragic day. My name's Mo Cummings, and I'm a Hillsborough survivor. 15th of April 1989 was the semi-final in the FA Cup against Liverpool Nottingham Forest. I arrived about 2:20. It was very busy, very, very busy. I went there with me dad and my husband at the time. I was 4 months pregnant, so decided it would be better for me to sit down. When we arrived at the ground that day, it was very, very busy. My dad and husband went off to get in the queue for Leban's Lane. I got in the queue for the stands. I was getting a bit concerned because it was quite heavy. The crowd was pretty solid really, and I was having concerns myself that day. Whereas when I'd been away before to Wembley and that, as much as there were a lot of crowds, I'd never felt worried about it, and that was the first time I'd ever sort of felt worried going in. Finally got in there. I think I didn't get in there till about 2:50. Anyway, it was just after kick-off. You could see it was tightly packed down Leban's Lane. People were sort of swaying a bit, but there didn't seem to be much room. And then obviously it became more apparent that it wasn't trouble in the sense that there was any fighting or arguing going on, that it was something really serious. And then people started coming over the fences, spilling onto the pitch, and then they stopped the game at 3:06. I think it became apparent how bad it was when I actually saw, some fans getting makeshift stretchers, off the hoardings, the advertising hoardings. And I did actually see someone covered up, and I saw their arm fall down to the side. And I said to somebody by me, I said, "They're dead." And they were like, "Oh, don't be so stupid." I went, "No, they must be. Why are they covered up?" Their arm was limp. And I started getting really worried then, because I knew my dad and my husband were down there as well. The police were pushing people back. At the very first instant, they wouldn't have realised what was happening. But then people who were stuck in there were saying what was happening. And I know after that, some people were still getting pushed back. And I think I can remember, obviously, the line of police across the pitch, trying to stop Forest fans coming over. But I mean, why would they want to come over anyway, unless it was to help? I mean, we couldn't get out of the stadium for like 2 or 3 hours afterwards. At one stage I was thinking of going down on the pitch to see if I could find them, but I'm glad I never, because I think if it had been close up to what was going on down there, I would have been a lot more affected, than I have been. I mean, I class myself as very lucky. You could see people were in shock. It was awful. Everyone was really subdued, quiet, and obviously I was feeling sick, worried about my dad and my husband, and I didn't know for about 3 hours till I got back to my coach that my dad and my husband were okay. And they were there, although there were 5 people missing off our coach that day. I don't know what happened to the majority of them apart from one who was my dad's friend, and luckily he was okay. He ended up in hospital, but he was okay. My dad and even my husband didn't talk about it. My dad actually said he came out. He said he saw the crush and came out, but I don't know what stage that was. So he must have been quite sensible, my dad, because he actually did the same at Heysel as well. He came out of Heysel and he saw stuff was going on. Me and my dad weren't really huggy people, but we did hug. I think with my dad, he was like, old-fashioned man, and men don't talk about feelings and all that type of thing. So he never said anything at all. In the meantime, as the day was going on, people had radios on, and they were, saying that people had died. I think at one stage it got to 5, and that was shocking then, really shocking. And then there was my mum. She was minding my daughter on the day, so she must have been terrified as well. I mean, she did say she was. She took my little girl in the pushchair to the shops, and then the radio was on in the shop and she heard about it. So she was obviously worried about me, and her husband and her son-in-law. So it must have been hard for her as well. I think I remember someone saying recently that it was the following Wednesday when that newspaper put those disgusting headlines up about us. If you're there and you see what's happening, the paper's saying, fans urinated on the cops. Well, I'm sorry, but if that has happened, why weren't they getting arrested? And the cameras were there, the cameras were recording it. So the thing is, apart from them saying what they said, and that we caused it and all that, I still can't get my head around why people believed it. They said there was fans pickpocketing. Oh, why would they even say it? Why? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I joined Twitter a few years ago. I realised that after matches, particularly after games, people would start saying all kinds about Hillsborough and, the chanting, just really saying horrible things. And that, we're murderers and we did this, that and the other, and it was our fault. And, your fans killed your own, which that's one of the worst ones, your own fans killed their own. That's just disgusting. How could you believe everything that was in the papers? I mean, the police, the stadium, everyone in charge, it just really, really grates with me. Say the likes of my mum. My mum is the type of woman who would believe anything that a policeman told her, would believe anyone in authority. I think she learned afterwards that wasn't the case. And I think a lot of maybe older people would have maybe expected it to be true, whatever you've said. But it's the fact that most of these fans now weren't even born when Hillsborough occurred. I mean, my son who I was pregnant with, he's 35 now. So these people of his age are saying these disgusting things who don't know anything about it. And how would they like it if they lost a family member and then were taunted about it, saying you did that yourself? Maybe their parents might have believed the police or whatever, but they should know. They know now because of the court case what actually happened. I think they just do it to rile us up and to get us going and get us arguing and, that type of reason. It took all those years to get to the Warrington hearings for the world to be told, everything that happened because of people in authority, and none of it was to do with the Liverpool fans. The fact is, we all knew that all the way along, all of us. Everyone who was, related to us knew that. And it took till 2016 for that to be shown to the world. Authorities like that can't get away with it. I don't think it will happen anymore. And they do need a Hillsborough law. I mean, the fact that statements were changed and everything. And I think that's what it is for everyone. It was a terrible, terrible thing that happened. But it was the aftermath was even worse. The cover-ups. All these poor people who lost loved ones. I mean, kids getting asked, have they been drinking? The interviews afterwards. Oh, the whole thing was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. All of the bad things that authority did has been proven. It did happen. Nothing that was written about Liverpool fans happened. I joined HSA over a year ago. Obviously, I know loads of Liverpool fans, but I didn't know anyone who was actually a Hillsborough that day. Jimmy Cummings passed away in 1999, and my dad passed away in 2000. And obviously, we don't have to say to each other, exactly what we feel, because everyone knows. So it's really good. It's really good to talk about it, but not in a miserable, morose way. It's the coming out of it. And a lot of people have had therapy now through HSA, and it's changed their lives. I mean, even the people who weren't themselves crushed, they were still helping people, who were dying on the pitch, and that must have been just horrific. I can't imagine how I couldn't have coped with that, and I'm sure a lot of those people haven't coped with that for such a long, long time. So now they're getting the therapy that they need, and I know a lot of them had survivor's guilt. And the fact that it's free as well, it's just brilliant what HSA have done, really. And it's all done as a charity. Anyone can join. Like there's families of people who passed away who joined. I mean, there's so many people behind the scenes who are doing such a great job, you know, with the club and with education. I mean, at the end of the day, it could have been a different story. If I hadn't been pregnant, I would have been in the ground myself. I wouldn't have been in the stands. So to all us Liverpool fans, we are now free. And that's my butterfly.